Welcome back, everybody. My guest tonight is a 60 Minutes correspondent, an author, and my dear friend. His new book about the American presidency is called The Hardest Job in the World. Please welcome John Dickerson. Hey, John. Good to see you.
Hello, Stephen. It's great to see you.
I'm really enjoying the book.
I'm glad you are. I can't believe you're holding it in your hands.
No, I understand that the presidency is the sort of the sexiest job in the government, but why did you want to write it?
Well, that's part of the problem, is that it's become too sexy. We focus on it too much. But the reason
Was it not sexy originally?
Well, James K. Polk, it was so unsexy that James K. Polk's wife had them play Hail to the Chief so people would recognize when he walked into the room. He had been Speaker of the House. They should have known who he was. And yet she was worried, he was diminutive, and she was worried he would walk in the room and nobody would care. And now a president can't walk into the room without, everybody stopping what they're doing. So yes, it wasn't always a celebrity office, and that started to change sort of with Teddy Roosevelt, who was just this dervish. And then, of course, the television age changed it completely.
So for the first 100 years, it wasn't, I want to say not a big deal, but it wasn't the sexiest office in the world. What was it meant to be? Like, what did the founders imagine?
Well, they imagined it basically to hopefully be the office that would contain all of the virtue that George Washington had in it. At the Constitutional Convention, where they're cooking up the blueprint for the office, they put him at the front of the room and make him preside over the whole 4 months of debate, basically the way you would put a model at the front of sketch class, so that they could build the office around him, because they all knew he would be the first person to occupy it. And the idea would be somebody who could take action when action was necessary, but then also who would have restraint, who would have virtue to act in the country's interest, in the republic's interest, but not in their self-interest and not in the mob's interest. And so would have that virtue, restraint, because the thing they worried about the most was, if we give power to one person, they're going to abuse it. That's just what human beings do. So you need to have both a system that constrains them and a person who's got enough virtue that they can do a little constraining themselves.
One of the things I didn't know when I was reading the book is that there was a possibility they were toying with the idea of there actually being sort of an executive committee rather than one unitary executive. So there would be sort of, the presidency would be a bunch of people all working in concert for the public good. Did that really have a shot?
Well, Benjamin Franklin supported that position, and he was a pretty big deal, probably the biggest political celebrity other than Washington. And so the fact that he supported it gave it some weight. Hamilton weighed in and said, too many cooks in the kitchen. You can't do that. You can't build an office that's supposed to take action and then do it by committee. The worry was, though, they were so worried about ambition that they thought, well, if we make it a committee, they'll all kind of keep each other from going overboard. But what happened was, because they thought Washington was going to be the first president, a lot of them were nervous to even talk about the idea of a committee, because inherent in that idea was the fact that a singular president, would lack the virtue to be able to actually hold the office. And what implicit in that message was, George Washington lacks the virtue. And nobody wanted to say that. So there's this very funny moment when they're debating it where they kind of pause and stop talking because they don't want to embrace the idea that maybe Washington didn't have virtue.
Well, is it that up until supposedly our modern age, when we don't perhaps hold Washington up in such a saintly way, every president who came into the office, in some ways, are they asked to become George Washington the way that every pope has to become Peter?
In a sense, in a sliver. So we can go overboard in our reverence for the founders, and we shouldn't, because obviously they created a document for human liberty that had embedded in it the enslavement of a portion of America, a portion of humanity. And so there are huge flaws, but there was an instinct in the chief executive that they wanted, which was this restraint. And basically I went back to the blueprint of the office and said, okay, originally it was a room and had a little kitchen, and now it is this monstrosity, this enormous building with all kinds of different wings. Where did those come from? Why do we have them? Are they any good? Should we get rid of some of them? Should we improve some others? And the piece that they wanted to keep with Washington was his restraint. The fact that he gave up his commission basically willingly gave up his commission as commander of the Continental Army for the Republic. And that preference of the public good over personal ambition was something they really wanted in their chief executive.
Okay, so if restraint was the order of the day, When did the presidency become so huge that it was completely unmanageable? Was there a time when it was manageable, and when did that end?
Well, presidents have been complaining about how hard the job was from even before there was a president. The president under the Articles of Confederation has a wonderful letter that he wrote basically whining about how tough the job was. So it's always been hard, but where it really balloons is with the Second World War. Well, first the Depression. FDR comes into office. There was always a tension. They want the office to do a lot, but they don't want it to do too much. They being the leaders of our country. And FDR said, look, I can't handle the Great Depression unless you let me have a few aides. The office was so small, he was begging Congress for a few aides, and this was a huge fight.
So the White House didn't have a staff in support of the president?
He had to borrow staff from the cabinet agencies over which he didn't have much control. He kept trying to reorganize them and get them to work together, and it kept failing. And he said to Congress, because he had to go to Congress to get any kind of change in the executive branch, which is just funny to think about today, given how the roles have reversed. And Congress basically refused his offer for a long time. But ultimately, World War II puts a lot of power in the office. Then the national security state continues to grow. In 1947, Truman makes it much bigger because we're in a nuclear standoff with the Russians. And so decisions have to be made quickly. And there's this big global national security part of the job that just basically expands the office. It never shrinks back. And then, of course, after 9/11, it got even bigger. Same thing. National security makes it bigger and it doesn't shrink back.
John, we have to take a quick break, but stick around, everybody. When we come back, I'll ask John about the 2020 election.